Joining us now, great to welcome, man, who's written a really kind of interesting book, particularly those that remember the era of vinyl records. And I'm one of those people, and it's called Old Records Never Die, One Man's Quest for His Vinyl and His Past. We're joined today by Eric Spitznagel, based in New York, but I believe he's in Philadelphia today via telephone. And Eric, good to talk with you. How are you?
Great to be here, Doug. Thanks for having me.
I am one of those folks. I started out doing college radio up at Adelphi, Long Island, and used to spin real records, and I kind of missed that a little bit. I guess that kind of was part of your upbringing too. You just like the records, right?
Yeah, I grew up just obsessing over records. I collected everything I could. In college, I was a DJ for a while, and I just loved going through their big library in the back and picking out these different mysteries. And it was huge to me, but when CDs came along, it seemed logical to get rid of those records because what good were they? It was fun, but it felt like, oh, the future is here, and CDs are so portable, and the sound is so good, and mistakes were made, so I got rid of everything.
I think everybody's parents or mother got rid of a lot of stuff that us kids had, particularly baseball cards was one, and records were probably another.
Exactly. And it doesn't seem like anything's lost, or you'll be able to get them back. But time goes on. It really occurred to me that the way I was consuming music didn't feel fulfilling anymore. I mean, I have an iPod that's just filled with like 4,000 songs. I have so much music at my disposal, so much more than I ever had growing up, but it's always like something that's on in the background. It's something, you listen to while you're checking email or liking pictures on Facebook, and there's all these other things happening. But with records, what was amazing about records is you were immersed in that experience. You'd have to take the individual album out and take the black orb out and put it on the record player and place the needle just so on it, and then you'd sit there and just give it your entire focus and be staring at the sleeves, and some of those records album covers are just so amazing. You could stare at for hours, and I don't have that attention span anymore with music, because it's always about like consume more, have more music, instead of developing a relationship with a record.
Well, that was part of the art of record albums. You would go to the old record stores and you go through those bins, and obviously the cover is important, but you read the liner notes. The albums had a concept to them, and there was more to it than just listening. There's a lot more to it. There's a storyline involved in a lot of the albums, right?
Yes, exactly. And also, like I always was fascinated by the way that albums would age. Like with digital music, it's in the air. It doesn't exist as a thing. But a record, the more time it spent with you, a record sleeve was like skin. It would wrinkle, and it would get scars and scratches on there, and it represented the experiences you've been through. And I think that's important, because then your music is very distinctive to you. Even though everyone may have this song, what makes it yours is this big bulky thing you have to carry around, and you can't just flip on your phone. I mean, it sounds like old fogey complaining about technology, but being able to bring up a song so easily on your phone, there's no effort involved. Like, where's the attention that you give to it if it's just a little tinny thing on your phone? I think something gets lost in that.
Yeah, it used to be a time you set aside. Usually it was a rainy day, maybe in the summertime, that you just set aside to listen to records.
Yeah.
You would do that. Would be what you were doing. You're not doing anything else at the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you'd be talking with people. I mean, and trying to find all my old records, I ended up reuniting with old relatives I haven't talked to in years, and finding old college roommates and friends I grew up with, and ex-girlfriends, and it was kind of like you take a guided tour of your life, and we get the music as a way of forging a connection with these people again that I didn't have before, and it was an interesting journey, and a very weird journey at the same time.
I don't know if you did this too. I remember in high school, a bunch of guys would go over somebody's house, and we listened to George Carlin records. You heard stuff there that you couldn't hear anywhere else. Yes. Did you do that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, George Carlin, Richard Pryor. Yes, I loved comedy records. Oh my God, I had such an immense collection. I remember listening to Steve Mark for the first time, and just going to. I would almost go to sleep with some of these comedy records like they were lullabies. It was just fantastic storytelling, just amazing. Bill Cosby, God bless him. He's a terrible person, but he could tell a story.
Those records were unbelievable, right?
In a yarn.
Yeah.
Right. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Well, the story in the book, and again, Old Records Never Die is the title of the book. This is kind of your quest to get these records back and travel around, I guess, more than just one state, right, to different places to try and find them. That's really one of the interesting parts of the story. How did you find these places? Yeah,
well, you kind of had to think like a detective, because the odds are you finding the exact records that you lost. I mean, I knew the odds were against me, but if I think about it, like, well, if somebody bought one of my records that I sold in the late 90s, they're not going to go like, well, next stop, Salt Lake City. I mean, odds are they're going to go in a certain direction, and you start thinking, okay, which record stores are around there, and which people might have some knowledge of the whereabouts. I mean, the premise of it is insane. To think that you could find a specific copy of, like, a Bon Jovi record that your first girlfriend had written her phone number on. But you get obsessed enough to think, like, well, if it still exists, if it wasn't destroyed, then, it's out there. It's findable. It's just if you're stubborn enough to keep looking for it. And along the way, you start wondering, like, well, why is it so important? Why do I need this object back? Right. And that was kind of the bigger message here, is why music is significant when it's consumed on a vinyl record. We
won't give it away what you found, what you didn't find. Let the audience read the book about that. But I think vinyl seems to be coming back from what I hear. It seems like, I don't know if it's the older age group, our age group, or kids that are getting into records, but it seems to be coming back at least in some form, right?
I believe it is. I mean, it was interesting in some parts of my journeys. I'd end up at record stores, and I was usually the oldest one there, and I'm in my mid-40s, and you're seeing a lot of people in their 20s and thereabouts who are interested in it. And I mean, it's clearly not for nostalgia. I really do hope it's not just a hipster thing, that it's not just like having a long beard and it's going to go the way of. I hope it's that there's a realization that there's something beautiful and significant about a record, about listening to music that way. But it is vastly superior to just having a computer filled with all these audio files. That effort required to listen to a record, and not only does it sound better, it's a better experience, and you're actually being a part of the world rather than just having things piped into your ears.
Yeah, it kind of took away what I grew up with up in New York, and you probably did too, if you remember the old top 40 radio stations. I mean, there's really no top 40 anymore. Yeah. You knew the top 10 records. You go to the record store, and they had that bin with all the singles on it, right? You could pick the top 10.
Yes. Or even just going to the record store with no idea what you're going to get, and just flipping through all those crates. I mean, I could spend hours. I could still spend hours just going through there and just letting your imagination wander and taking a chance on something. I remember the first time I found Funkadelic's Maggot Brain, and I was just like, what in the world is this? Never heard of them, but there's this woman who seems to be buried up to her neck, and she's shrieking, and it's called Maggot Brain, and based on nothing more than that title and that cover, I was like, I will give this a try.
Well, you talk in the book, too, about, I guess, a shared copy of a Kiss album. I remember when Kiss first came out. I guess I was in junior high. I remember seeing them on the Mike Douglas show. I don't know if you remember that. I might be a couple of years older than you. But I remember seeing them breaking out on the Mike Douglas show, and then they became huge after that.
Yeah.
But Kiss is still going strong, I guess. They're still out there, right?
They are. And good for them, too. I think it's fantastic. I mean, they're only two of the real guys there, but the fact that they're out there is just makes me very happy. Yeah. The first album of theirs I had was Kiss Alive 2, and I remember it so distinctly because I was like 8 or 9 at the time, and that image of them on the cover. I mean, Gene Simmons, and it seems to be soaked from rainwater with blood dripping down his jaw. I was like simultaneously horrified, and I thought that was the most awesome thing I ever saw in my life. I was like, this is so cool, and I want to hide from it forever. It's so terrifying.
It really wasn't based on the music. It was the showbiz aspect. I don't think you'd say there were classic songs, but there was an entertainment to it.
Yeah.
The costumes and the pyrotechnics.
Yeah, the whole thing, the aesthetics of it was just amazing to me. And you know, as a young kid, it had such a huge effect. And that record, my brother and I shared, he'd written on it, "Hands Off," to let me know that I may not take his copy of Kiss Alive 2. So that's the one I'm still kind of searching for, to see if I can find. If anyone out there sees a copy of Kiss Alive 2 with "Hands Off" scrawled on it, please let me know.
Well, it's a great book called Old Records Never Die, One Man's Quest for His Vinyl and His Past. We've been talking with Eric Spitznagel today. And Eric, do you have a website you can direct people to, get more information, or contact you if they have the records?
Absolutely. Yeah, yes. Records Never Die is my website. And it's got information on there, excerpts from the book, how to buy it. And also, we've started something at Records Never Die called Missed Vinyl Connections, which is people have found a record with something distinctive drawn on it, or a name, or something else. We're trying to reconnect people with records they may be looking for. So long shots, but even if nothing else, it's just fun to kind of go through. And people leave quite the history on records. Sometimes they kind of document their relationships or their frustrations, or in some cases their mental psychoses. But there's some really interesting stuff there. So it's a nice little museum piece of bizarre records.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com.
This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles.